the level of arrogance and cheating, and they're just horrible people. These are
lie.
Horrible people.
They tell conspiracy theories.
CNN, likewise. I mean, I watch them asking questions with, you know, the hatred with the. I said, "What are you asking the question with such anger? You're asking me a normal question, but you see the bias. The bias is so incredible."
If we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable.
If outlets in this room push lies, we will hold them accountable. Finally, we have accountability in our federal government. Finally, we have someone who is willing to hold the mainstream media accountable. February's been a very tough month for our pretend friends in the mainstream media. Earlier this month, Johnson & Johnson received a massive purchase order from the Associated Press. They were looking for Preparation H to soothe their bruised caboose after the Trumper introduced his orange boot to their pink ass. The Trumper removed the Associated Woke from the White House because they could not control their allergen to the truth. They even had doctors at Woke Memorial Hospital inject them with truth serum. They still lied. To be honest with you, I don't know how I feel about this. Part of me likes it because I like to see the media held accountable. Part of me, though, disagrees with it because of the precedent that it sets. I won't lie to you. If Johnny B. Biden was kicking conservative media out of the White House, I would be pissed off about it. Now, of course, Johnny B. doesn't have the power to do that because he doesn't have the stamina to lift his leg. What the Trumper is doing right now with the media, the Trumper is holding them accountable. The Trumper is sending a clear message, and it's rather simple to understand. Report the truth from the White House, or your ass won't be here. It's really that simple. But KC, the media is reporting their truth. Damn. Yeah, there's that lie again. My truth. I want to express my truth. All the my truthers out there, let Uncle Casey give you some valuable wisdom. There is no such thing as your truth. There is no such thing as my truth. There is no such thing as his truth, her truth, their truth, them's truth. I know the wanker spankers are obsessed with pronouns, but truth does not need your proper pronouns. There is only one truth that exists, the truth. The media is learning that actions have consequences. It's a harsh lesson that we all learn at one point or another. 10 years ago, I got a DUI and I didn't tell my former employer about it. Obviously, wasn't one of my proudest moments, but the main reason I didn't tell them, I didn't feel like it was any of their business. Problem was, it kind of was their business. I had a company vehicle, which is something I didn't think about at the time. My boss worked at the corporate office 3 hours away. I knew the DUI would be handled. I knew it wouldn't go on my record. So my thinking was, no big deal. Now, I did have to tell the 3 guys at my local office about it because I had missed work the following day. All 3 of these dudes, they were 15, 20 years older than me. I asked each one of them if I should tell my boss about the DUI. Every one of them said no, keep it in-house. That was our policy at the office. We handled everything in-house. 3 months later, I get a call from my boss and he's pissed. He's asking me about the DUI. More specifically, he's asking why I didn't tell him about it. I told him the truth. Not my truth. I told him the truth. I didn't think it was any of their business, and my lawyer, he was handling it for me. He mentioned the company vehicle that I sometimes drove and how that makes it their business. At that point, there was really nothing I could say. He was right, and I told my boss he was right. I thought I was going to get fired. I should have gotten fired. Not because of the DUI, but because I tried to hide it. I was going through one of the toughest times in my life, which is how I got the DUI in the first place. The last thing I needed was to get fired, but luckily, my boss had mercy on me. We didn't always agree. Hell, we rarely agreed, but he earned my respect that day. Before we got off the phone, I asked him, who told you about my DUI? He said that he saw my mugshot randomly on the internet, which I knew was complete bullshit. I knew one of the men from my office snitched on me, and I knew exactly who it was. I never confronted him about it. He never knew that I knew. But on that day in October of 2015, he lost my trust forever. I worked at the company another 6 years. Our business relationship, it was never the same. Matter of fact, the other dudes in the office, they didn't trust him either because I told them what happened. Actions have consequences. When you go behind people's back, when you're constantly making up lies about them, you can't expect to be welcomed with open arms. And if you're the mainstream media, you can't expect to be given unlimited access to the White House. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Headline at the Daily Beast. CNN and the Washington Post are getting booted from the Pentagon. I wonder why. I wonder why CNN would be removed from the White House, not once, but twice in the same month. Now, just to be clear, CNN will still have access to the Pentagon. Pete Hegseth will still take questions from CNN. They're just no longer allowed to have an office inside the Pentagon. Some media outlets, they are given the privilege of having an office space in the Pentagon. The great Pete Hegseth, he took away that privilege from CNN. Here we go again with the media learning another valuable lesson. The difference between a right and a privilege. A right is something that cannot be taken away. For example, Pete Hegseth can't take away CNN's right to free speech, or in their case, tell lies freely. But he can take away their privilege of telling those lies from the Pentagon. So, how did CNN take the news of their departure from the Pentagon? Did they send Pete Hegseth a thank you card? Dear Petey, thank you for bruising my caboose with your toxically masculine boot. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Oh, you're so dreamy, Petey. Signed, they, them at CNN. Unfortunately, CNN did not leave a thank you card, but they did leave a mess. Check it out for yourself. If you look closely, you can see that CNN left unpolished turds on the floor. As you guys know, there was a serious backlog of turds recently at CNN. Due to rumors of layoffs, woke welfare collectors like Andy Cooper, they took a break from polishing the turd to polish their resume. Instead of cleaning up the mess themselves, CNN, they decided to use our tax dollars to clean it up. My inside sources, they are telling me that Pete Hegseth might contract the services of the WNBA dump to clean up this mess. They might not be good at basketball, but those dump divers, they are the best in the business when it comes to taking out the garbage. CNN was not the only trash that Pete Hegseth removed from the Pentagon. He also removed the New York Times, NBC News, NPR, Politico, The Hill, and something called The War Zone. The media outlets taking their place are the New York Post, the Washington Examiner, OAN, the Daily Caller, Newsmax, Breitbart, and the Huffington Post. Now, outside of the Huffington Post, I would say that's a pretty good group of media. Well, KC, what about News Nation? Yeah, unfortunately, Chris Cuomo, hey, it's me, Chrissy C. Unfortunately, the man who used to call himself the biggest free agent in media, he was not signed by Pete Hegseth. The question is, why? Why is the Trump administration going to war with the mainstream media? Why is the Trumper removing the media from the White House? Like I said, I'm kind of torn on this. I don't like the precedent that it sets. God forbid cackling Cam Harris was elected and she did the same thing. I wouldn't like it. I would say that she's hiding something. I would say that she is suppressing conservative voices. But two things can be true at the same time. Even though I don't like the potential precedent, I understand the decision. Let me show you a couple of examples. This is why CNN was removed from the White House. Watch it for yourself.
Former President Donald Trump is escalating his violent rhetoric, suggesting one of his most prominent critics, the former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, should be fired upon.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Let's see how she feels when the guns are trained on her face. Let's sit with that for a moment.
What he didn't campaign on was the Elon Musk of it all. That Elon Musk would be going in and the person with his team doing this at the pace with which they are moving.
I could sit here for hours and give you example after example of CNN lying to your face. It took me all of 5 minutes to prove Dana Bash wrong. She claims that the Trumper did not campaign on Elon Musk eliminating wasteful spending. It took me 5 minutes to find an article from Vox, which is a woke media outlet. One of the first paragraphs of the article: if elected, Trump has vowed to put Elon Musk in charge of a government efficiency commission. 5 minutes of research for me to find that article. And I'm doing this by myself. I don't have a research team. I don't have a team of producers. I don't have a team of writers. Everything you see on this channel, it comes from the mind of Uncle KC. And you mean to tell me with the thousands of people working at CNN, they couldn't find the same article? CNN literally has fact checkers on staff that are responsible for checking everything that Donald Trump says. You mean to tell me those fact checkers can't check CNN? This is not some oversight. This is not some clerical error. These are intentional lies, and it's the reason that CNN was removed from the White House. Look, I don't expect CNN to agree with the Trumper. I don't expect the Washington Post to like what the Trumper is doing, but that doesn't mean they can lie about it. That doesn't mean they can make shit up without consequences. These are the consequences. Give me your thoughts on this. Woke media is removed from the White House and the Pentagon. CNN trashes their office on the way out. Do you agree with what the Trumper is doing? Now, just to be clear, CNN and other woke media outlets, they still have access. They just lost certain privileges. Do you agree with it? Or do you think it sets a dangerous precedent? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.